Do it.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bed Tech Show. We're your hosts, Ben and Ethan, and we've got a special guest with us, Cameron. We're excited to have Cam with us tonight. Today, we are going to be talking about some of the best and weirdest tech of CES 24, just concluded today. So we'll go ahead and get started. One of the coolest things that I saw, I wouldn't say it's the coolest, but something that I'm really excited for is LG's new transparent OLED TV. Um, I've seen a lot of companies do transparent TVs and try and do that, but actually seeing what LG has been able to do, and how real it looks and some of the capabilities of it is just mind-boggling. It's got You can make it like turn into a visual fish tank. It's got screensavers and widgets, and it's probably one of the coolest TVs that I've ever seen. It's nice to have something new and innovative to get really excited about TVs again.
I
Go
so
ahead, Cam.
I I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I'm like a TV fanatic. All right. I always like to have it. My biggest problem is every year I want the newest OLED. Um I love it. Like right now, actually, I you guys I think Ben might know this, but I have like a special edition LG
Yeah,
Star Wars OLED C2. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
and it's like it was way too much money to buy this. Like it was like another extra $1,000 just to get the special edition Star Wars when I could have got the same TV for $1,000 less. Plus, I had last year's Sony OLED, which side note, I actually think Sony makes a better OLED than LG, but
I
that's
concur.
beside the point. So I was actually extremely excited about this transparent TV. I was pumped, and it seems like the talk of CES because I've seen a lot of articles, a lot of things coming out. Every list I see, it's like at the top of the list. So I was really excited about it. Is it a little gimmicky? Probably. As you
Oh,
most will most people not have in their house? Probably. But someone who is obsessed with TVs and OLEDs, I think my wife's gonna have to like hide the credit card when I'm able to buy this thing. So
so are you going to get it, Cam?
I depending on the price tag, I'm gonna be very tempted. Let's just say that.
I'm trying to think of like use cases for this. I saw like a lot of samples for like advertising and stores and different aspects where like from like a commercial use, which I think that's really cool. And then from like a consumer, regular day-to-day person, I think it'd be really interesting to have a transparent TV. Like you could you know how like right now we have the frame TV that tries to be art, and Nicia like loves that, my wife. And
Yeah.
um, I think this would like adds another element to it where you can have other things like behind your TV or how thick I don't even know how thick it is. Is it pretty thin?
That's a great question.
I'm assuming you can put stuff behind it and it'll allow like like for you to see through the TV, right?
Yeah.
Um, but while I think about this, I'm like, this is kind of leading us down to more of um like AR glasses,
Mhm.
augmented reality glasses. And this is like another step in that direction, which I think that to me is more exciting. Like having the Iron Man technology, that's more exciting to me than like a transparent TV. And I think this is like a step in the right direction. I think when like the TV is very digestible for consumers, right?
Mhm.
Everyone has one, everyone knows what it is, everyone wants the latest. And like introducing transparent video and transparent visuals or visuals on a transparent screen, I think that will like lead people down the gateway path to finally accepting like augmented reality. Like, hey, this is just like your transparent TV you have, but in your glasses. Um, because I think like maybe sometimes right now some people across the generation line, whether the older or younger and millennials, whatever, still hesitant to accept and like really see the value in maybe augmented reality, but that's my perspective on why I'm excited for these transparent TVs. I think I have to see one in person to get like super hyped on it, but I think they are really cool.
So you like the idea of poisoning people by degrees, get them in.
Yes.
I like
Yes. That's right.
100%,
Little by little.
100% behind that. Another thing that I thought was really cool is that Asus is coming out with a double screen laptop.
Yeah. So you like that,
I
Ethan?
think it's really cool. I think,
Uh-huh.
especially like if you were to have something like that in a work setup, that would be
Mhm.
perfect because um, you would always have that ability to multitask within a mobile setting rather than um, only having one screen at a meeting and then having to go back to your desk to dock your laptop to whatever your setup is. You kind of have the ability to have that dual screen laptop, and I think it's pretty cool. Their iteration of this have having two 14-inch OLED touchscreens and um, gives you quite a bit of workspace. And then kind of the processors that they're putting into it and some of the tech that they're putting in to drive all this looks pretty cool. And it's only going to be about $1,500, which is not terrible
Yes.
That's not
Yes.
bad.
that type of laptop.
Yeah. No, I of course saw this and I'm still a bit undecided on it. I obviously I do all my work in two monitors, right? Of course. Right now if I'm on the go and I need to use two monitors, I bring the separate
Yeah.
purchase monitor that I put next to my
Mhm.
laptop. This does seem like a better solution, but I still am a little bit undecided that if I don't want that second monitor, does it become a hindrance to have it always
Mm,
with me? I don't know. So I'm still a little
It's a good
undecided of this.
consideration.
I do like that it's affordable though, because this is the first time I think that like really someone's kind of with this idea that's become something that the common consumer could, or most consumers could uh could get, and really something that businesses can buy for their employees. So
is it only like I see the photo of it and it's like two vertical screens? Is it only oriented in that manner, or can you have it horizontal, like two horizontal stacked?
You could do a double horizontal stack setup
Got
for it
it.
too.
Got it. Okay. I might like that aspect better because I like to have like the wider screen, especially like if I'm on the go and I'm multitasking, I like to have my like two documents wider. I think the vertical is a little too narrow, but I will say I did have in the past, I had the Lenovo Yoga,
Mhm.
which is like the one that folds 180 degrees, right? I think it's 180 degrees. Maybe
yeah,
it's
uh-huh.
Yeah.
no, maybe it's 360 degrees. I don't know. Essentially like folds in half, which I think is a full circle. But and you could turn it into a tablet. And I thought that was really cool. I actually really enjoyed that laptop. It was touchscreen, and it would transition from a laptop to a tablet. I really like that aspect. And I don't know if you get that necessarily with this, but I'm with you, Cam, where like I usually have my portable monitor with me because I like to have two screens no matter where I go. And so having it built in, I think is a plus. But the portable monitor gives you the flexibility of like you don't always have to have it. You know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
back in light, you just want your laptop, you leave it at home. This kind of seems like you always have to have two monitors. Maybe it makes it thicker, bulkier, but
Ben, I'm curious, how often with your yoga did you use it being as like a tablet feature?
I probably use the tablet maybe once to three times a week, depending
Oh,
on
okay.
the activity I was doing. I use it a lot for notes, and then like I would like turn into like a tablet and like turn into like notes, and then a lot of times, like if I was reading something or like reviewing something, or if I was, um, yeah, like writing notes, that's pretty much what I would use it for. And I would pretty much do it at least once a week. Like, we're all three of us here are pretty religious guys. So I'd use it for like scripture reading and stuff like that. Or like if I had any kind of like presentation or talking or anything, I'd bring it with me and just like read whatever I was using it for. And
Got it.
that was really nice. So I did appreciate that. Um, yeah.
Because I had one actually, as I actually had one like 2 weeks ago, and I told my
Oh,
company I wanted a new laptop with because I only had 16 gigs of RAM. I wanted 32,
yeah.
and they're like, "Well, do you want like does it have to be like the yoga and all that stuff?" And I was like, "No, I just too gimmicky for me. I just need computing power, right?
Yeah.
I guess I never used that feature of it. If I was ever taking notes and stuff, I always had my iPad with me, but I could see maybe that's just me and I just wasn't used to that, those features. But
Yeah, and I think like in a work setting, I probably wouldn't necessarily use it, but like I was using it for every aspect of my life. And I also don't have an iPad. And like that actually is one of the reasons why I might get one. Is like I really do enjoy like having just like a handheld to like read that's like with a pencil, a stylus, taking notes. And if I had an iPad like you, I probably wouldn't use the yoga as like the folding ability. Just because the iPad's so much more user friendly and
mhm,
intuitive, right?
yeah.
Anyway, that's a cool device though.
Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting when that comes out. Love that it's affordability, and will be interesting to see if other companies come out with some competition for that.
I'm really stoked for the next thing. The EcoFlow home battery.
Oh, me too.
This thing is sick. I seriously might invest a ton of money in this. It's on the go, so you can take it portable, and it hooks up to like a partner, like large battery, and it's modular. So you can have like multiple batteries stacked. So you can have like this huge battery unit in your house that allows you to like source energy, keep the energy there. And then if you want to go on like a camping trip, you can pack up this one unit and then take it with you in the vehicle, on the go, on the road trip, on the camping trip, whatever. And you can like charge everything. You have like lights, you could have, anything that you need electronic wise is good to go with this EcoFlow. I love that they made it expandable and like modular. So you could just build small and then or start small and then build as you go. I love that. I've been looking for something that's like some kind of like backup battery system, whether that's like a generator or whether that's like more on the clean side of energy. Quotations there, note those please, because whether it's clean or not. And so this is like definitely on my radar. So
Yeah, I was really excited about this too because I've been looking at whole home battery backup options. I mean, obviously, because I mean, like I've got Tesla solar panels, got the Tesla inverters. Kind of made sense to um, add in a Tesla power wall, but the expense for that type of solution for a home that I know that I'm not going to be living in for the rest of my life, but based on the way that house prices are, I may be here for the rest of my life. Um, it it didn't make sense because it was going to add an additional 60,000 to my solar income, my
yowza.
um, solar install. And so I'm like, I don't want to put that much money into just a whole home battery backup, especially where I've got two EVs. I would love to just be able to utilize the power from those um, as battery backup. I mean, that makes sense. Love Ford for that. But anyway, like seeing this is like a modular setup, something that seems to be fairly affordable, comparing it to other battery backups or even to like a natural gas generator.
Yeah.
Um, it seems really enticing. And I love that this is coming out because I've seen a couple other companies like Anchor is starting to come out
Yeah.
with this type of system too. And so it brings in some more added competition to drive that price down for increase the amount of features.
Yeah, and I noticed Anchor will even like they have packages where they throw in solar panels as well. So you can like set up solar panels outside that hook up to the battery backup. I just don't think Anchor is as it's not as flexible for the consumer. It's like you buy what you buy and that's that, right? And then you have to buy like a completely separate unit. Where this is flexible, right? You can add on another battery pack if need be. So that's cool. I don't know. Cam, are you pretty stoked on this, or what are your thoughts here?
I'm a bit indifferent. I guess I'm not as versed in the space as both you are. I know Ethan definitely is. With having, I think all your cars are electric, right, Ethan?
Yeah,
So I guess I'm just not as versed in it. I'm curious to know if this is something you guys would really buy at a price tag of 5,800. Is this something you think you would invest in?
For me, I think if I was in my forever home, like right now, I'm in a home where like I'll probably be here another few years, and then we're gonna jump ship because it's a smaller
Mhm.
home. It's like a first time home, you know. But if I was in my forever home, I would definitely look into this. I might even buy the base of this now just to have for like emergencies. And then in my new home, just buy more battery packs as like a full home backup. Just because I personally think there are going to be times in our lives where emergencies happen, and I just want to be prepared.
Sure.
Also, a flag is raised with all these billionaires building these bunkers. So I don't know. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the great thing about this is that even if you got it in a home or an apartment that you knew you weren't going to be in forever, you could take it with you.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about this is it's not an investment that's gonna have to, it has to stay there, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the only sunk cost would be like with your home, you get the electrical set up so that you could run the power back into your home for that. Um, and based on it, kind of depending on what your load setup is already with your electrical, it wouldn't be terrible to get this type of um, backup installed. So I like looking at this and seeing it. I'm like, this might be something that I'm willing to invest in for my current home that I know is not going to necessarily be our forever home.
Yeah.
Um, just to have that, because I mean, I've got young kids right now, and anytime the power goes out, that's just like, okay, how how long is the food going to be good for? How long is this going to be like, especially now where it feels like we're in the cold dead of winter and it's freaking cold out. Power goes out, we're toast right now.
Yeah.
So
A quick side story. I remember I was living in New Mexico in 2011, and I remember that's when there was a big storm, and they weren't able to get gas up into the city of the small town I was in called Espanola, and and the whole city, I mean, practically shuts down. And you at times like that, you realize how like society feels so stable, but little things like that, it almost feels like we're just always living on this little edge. And if one little thing goes wrong, it can, that edge we can fall over pretty quickly. So no, I definitely understand that.
Yeah, you make a good point how like society's functioning really well, but at the same time, we're kind of living on like this technology black hole. Like if the power grid goes down, which to what I understand, like the power grid isn't up to date. Like power grids aren't, or at least the infrastructure isn't up to par with like current technology that's pulling from it. But that's a different story. But if the power grid goes down, then we're kind of just in this sunk black hole because everything relies on power nowadays, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was watching this show where it was like these people were traveling, and the setting is prior to electricity. And these people were traveling and they come across a village and they're like, yeah, they just like the village is they're gonna allow us to stay in a cabin. And it was just like so simple, you know? It's just like wood, that's built on a nice foundation with a fireplace, and they just start a fire, and that's their light, and that's their heat. And you just like, it was peaceful because it's like so simple, but obviously not luxurious or anything. Um, but it just kind of reminds me of like how different life is compared to like what it was back in the day. You know, like if you look at like the situation we're in, we're on a electrical Zoom podcast call, and like I have a light in my back, I have a light in front of me. I have a camera that's electrical. Like everything's electrical.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's a good segue. Ethan, can I bring up something from CES that's a little
Oh, go
quirky?
for it. Yeah.
So I think it was, let me just make sure I got the right brand that did this. Yeah, Lenovo introduced a kind of a crank mouse and keyboard. Did you guys see that?
no.
No, I didn't see
So,
that.
so it's like the keyboard and mouse have a crank, and you can use it based off of turns for about I think it's 30 minutes. And I think that after going off on how like society's so fragile with electricity, I think that's like the quirkiest thing that I probably would never buy, because I think it's like going backwards in technology. But I did think it was quite funny that they would come up with something like that and bring it out at CES. Do
That's hilarious. I mean,
That's
like,
really interesting to me.
you guys see it?
Yeah, I do. The mouse, the mouse has like the crank on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's so interesting to me.
And it's kind of funny because uh 5 minutes of spinning give you 30 minutes to charge. Like, there's no way that's sustainable on a work. Like, I don't really know the use case of something like this, but it's funny that we would go backwards in time on something such as this.
Yeah. Can you imagine being on like a Zoom call presenting, and the audience is like, "Hey, like, can you go to the next slide?" Like, it's like, "Oh yeah, just give me 1 second. Let me crank my keyboard." Like, okay, sounds
it's
good.
kind of interesting because like the keyboard that they have with it has solar to it.
Solar?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so, I was thinking like, okay, if
Oh yeah, solar.
if
Yeah,
you were
you're
going to
right.
have solar on your keyboard, why not have that connected to the mouse pad next to your keyboard that would wirelessly charge your mouse as it's going? I mean, obviously, I know there wouldn't be depending on like the solar panel, there wouldn't be enough energy to wirelessly charge that. But kind of like that concept, I think that would be better than a crank if you wanted
This
to have a
Yeah,
article
more
I
sustainable mouse.
this article I pulled up on PC Mag uh, frames it in anxiety, like fidgety fingers and stuff, which I'm very fidgety and I always need to have something I'm kind of playing with. But I don't know if this would be the solution for me.
I agree.
Yeah, that
I
would be
agree.
the solution.
It takes your peripherals like out of play. Like you can't use them if I'm cranking my mouse.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like putting the charge port at the bottom of your mouse so that you can't charge it while you're using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, what's the point of being fidgety but also not be able to use your things, right? So,
Yeah,
I mean, the
exactly.
keyboard makes a little more sense because if we're sitting here, I can just be like, one hand just spinning. But
The
I
mouse.
thought that I thought that was one of the because when you intro this potty thing, you said quirky. I was like, oh, I got one for you guys if you haven't seen it yet. That's my quirky thing I get to bring, and I thought you segued that perfect, Ben.
Yeah. No, I did not see that. I'm glad you brought that up. That's
Yeah,
really funny.
that's awesome.
What else you got, Ethan?
One thing that I think the one device that I was like super excited about was this Rabbit R1 AI device.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up too.
Okay, I'm happy we're talking about that because I'm gonna be the counter voice on the Rabbit AI.
Okay.
That I don't think it's gonna work.
You don't think
I
it's gonna
don't
work?
I don't I like it, but should I give my point first or what? How
Yeah,
how
go
do you
for
want to
it.
go?
Let us talk
Okay,
first, and then you
Okay.
counter.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so like
Go ahead,
I
Ethan.
saw this and I'm like, this is really cool. It's something that doesn't require a subscription. Like it's a standalone device. You buy it. I mean, yes, you've got like if you wanted the LTE connection, you'd have to pay for that, but that's not like a subscription app that you have to pay for on a monthly basis. It's a standalone device. And I was really impressed with how quick it was able to respond to queries. Like compared to any other device that I've seen, especially like stupid virtual assistants, like this was extremely quick to respond to queries and even obscure queries. It was able to dissect those and analyze them and come up with appropriate responses.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really impressed with how it is. I think kind of going back to like Iron Man technology, right? This is the next step in the direction of having like a Jarvis in your pocket. And I think like when we have Elon Musk and pumping out Wi-Fi free for everyone around the world from his satellites, I think this will be pretty much insane having in your pocket of like it's your virtual assistant, but it can answer questions, it can do things for you. And I think it's just going to add a lot of convenience to your life, might make people lazier. Um, I think this is not the like a perfect product right now. But again, I think this is like a step in the direction of where AI is just going to come into play and just completely change people's lives and make it hyper efficient. And that's what gets me really stoked and really excited about. I think it's kind of like I think it's kind of like the Apple iPod. When the iPod first came out, I was like, why do I need this electronic device that has music? Like that's all it was with maybe like one pixelated game. I'm like, I don't need this. Like I got like an 8 changer CD at home. I'm just gonna use that. Like, why do I have to have this stupid like electronic device? And now, like, we have the iPhone. It just little by little, step by step, it just grew to be this device that everyone relies on. And I think that's what's going to happen here. Um, and I'm sure it's just going to accelerate a lot faster than what the iPhone's progression was, right? I'm sure in 3 years, 4 years, we're going to have stuff in our pocket that can do pretty much anything we want. And that's why I'm excited for it. I may not get the R1, but I know I'm definitely going to be getting some kind of version of this in the near future.
So you haven't already made your pre-order yet?
I haven't, even though they've had like
10,000.
20,000 orders already. I haven't. It's so cheap. It's $199. I think that's so crazy. Like I would buy it, but I'm gonna hold off. I would buy it if I was a single bachelor. Let's say that.
Yes, I would do that too. I have yet to pre-order it, but I was really tempted.
Yeah.
First of all, Ben, I love that story about your iPod because a story that stuck with me my entire life was I got an I got an MP3 player, Rio MP3 player when I was in, I think, 7th grade. And obviously memory was a lot more expensive then, so this thing could hold maybe 13 songs. And I remember showing up to middle school with my Rio MP3 player. And I remember being in the hall and showing one of my friends, like some of the guys around me, right, in middle school, 7th grade, like, look, guys, look how cool I got this MP3 player. And they were like, I just don't see the point of that. Why would you want that? You could just have a CD player. Like, this makes no sense. Like, you
Yeah.
know? And I like, and that always stuck with me. And I've learned a lot of lessons from that one little experience that I'm not going to bore you guys with now. But, but I thought that was funny when you brought that iPod story up.
Yeah, I
And
was one
going
of the
into
pros, Cam. That was me. I was one of the pros.
especially because that time middle school where like you're really like very conscious about what everyone says, and like I thought I
Yeah.
was so cool with this MP3 player just to get kind of shot down. And look at where we're at now, right? There's I don't see very many CD players going around nowadays, right? But so first off, I pretty much agree with mostly everything you guys said about this device, so I'm going to agree and disagree at the
Okay.
same time. I agree with everything you said. What I disagree, and I agree that the tech is amazing. I love the response time. I do think it's a building block in the right direction. but for this device, and I hope this gets recorded, and this I mean I hope the company can come back to me one day, and although they would care about something I say, but would come back to me one day and look at like, hey, look how wrong you were. But I don't think the common consumer or the vast majority of people are going to pay $200 to have something on top of their iPhone to carry one more thing in their pocket, right? Almost everything in this device can be implemented and put into a smartphone that everyone already has. And there's juggernauts making those products. So I agree the tech is really cool. I agree the software is really nice. I agree it's really neat. And I agree that, and I think like in theory, this is the future. Having your own personal AI assistant is the future. I don't think it comes in the form of something a little device similar to something you would put in your like almost similar to the size of a smartphone. I know a little bit smaller, but something you'd put in your an additional thing for your pocket that you'd carry around each day, and talk out loud to in public to get solutions. I don't think that's the future. Because let's be real, most people that talk to their phones and you actually use Siri are the older generation, and the older generation are not the ones that my parents and my no offense if they're going to listen, or my in-laws are not the ones that are probably the early adopters that are going to buy something like this and it go and becoming mainstream. But I love the product, I love the technology, I think it is a step in the right direction. As for the viability of this individual product, I don't think it's going to be a successful product.
That's fair. That's totally fair. When you mentioned about like people using Siri, I immediately thought of my dad doing this.
Yes.
Hey, Siri, like and then he'll say something ridiculous. Many things. He'll say something ridiculous.
There he goes.
Yeah, there he goes. He'll say something ridiculous. It's like, Dad, like the device can't do that for you, It just brings, you're so right. It just brings those memories to my top of my head. But that's a valid point.
No,
Good point.
most of the questions I ask ChatGPT, I think are dumb questions. That's why I'm asking ChatGPT, not the person next to me. And so I don't think I want everyone to hear my dumb questions out loud if I'm in a public setting.
That's fair.
Touche. I mean, yeah, I mean, that was kind of like one of the criticisms that I had with this. I'm like, I think everything of this could be put onto your phone. Like I see Samsung buying this company
Yep.
just because they can. Like they've probably already made a tender hostile takeover offer just so they can put this in their next phone.
By the way, from a banker perspective, selling companies as Samsung is not fun. They're not a fun party to be on the other side of the table from. I'll just say it as that.
Play hardball.
They are very hard.
Wow.
And they do like to look under the hood as much as they can. And no offense to them, but they like to look under the hood as much as they can before they buy
look
something.
under the hood as much as they can, then they back out of the deal last minute, and they're like, "Oh, actually, we don't need to. We're actually not going to do that. Sorry."
But in their defense, they're very engaging. They want to know in my experience with them, they always want to know what's out there. They always want to see. They'll usually always return your banker's calls, which is more than I can say for a lot of other companies. But in terms of being a viable buyer, they sometimes can be a tough party to work with. So
very interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. Ethan, what else? What are your thoughts on this and Cam's comments?
Like I honestly, I would rather have the functionality of this device on my phone, just because that's the only thing in my pocket. I mean, now that we've got the tech electric vehicles that we have, the keys are just on my phone, so I don't ever have to carry anything else other than my phone and my wallet. And one of these days, I'm hoping to off-source my wallet completely to my phone, just so I only have to have one thing in my pocket. I'm really waiting for that day where my ID can be on my phone. So Utah needs to get their act together so I can put it in my Apple Wallet.
I'm hoping that day sooner rather than later.
I know. I mean, that was announced like 3 years ago, and Utah needs to get their act together, and that needs to happen.
There's a lot of companies with that being their mission, and I think they see that, and I think there's a lot of smart heads out there working to get that. It is getting, like you said, getting the legislative on board behind it.
Yeah. So, like, if this technology was on my phone, I would be 100% behind it. I would have done the pre-order already. But since it's this this standalone device, while I think it's cool, I'm still a little hesitant to pull the trigger on the pre-order.
Yeah, that's a valid point that both of you have made, especially you, Cam. I didn't think about that, having two devices in my pocket and then also speaking out loud for it. But I just, even if I'm at home, I like the idea of like going to my fridge and being like, hey, like, I don't know what to make for food. Give me a recipe for this food here.
That was really cool. That is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure like there's going to be a lot more creative aspects and ways to use this in your daily life. Um, I'm excited to see people use this like out in public. I'm excited to see how they use it, and see how embarrassing it is, if it is at all. But I actually was going to ask you the question, like, Ethan, you alluded to this, but I was going to ask you the question: do you think Rabbit's play is eventually to get bought out, or do you think their play is to like really grow their company and grow their technology, and then maybe potentially partner with some kind of phone service provider, maybe like partner with AT&T, or they just become like maybe they create their own phone? Where do you think that the play is here for them?
I, this is going to be a really cynical approach. I think Rabbit wants to be their own independent company. I think one of these major tech companies is going to offer to buy them out. They're going to refuse, and I think one of these tech companies is going to steal their technology, and Rabbit's not going to have the funds to be able to fight that or to be able to litigate that in such a way that they would be able to win.
I think Ethan's hypothesis is correct. I would 100% agree.
Wow.
I hope Ethan's right on the part that they want to be their own in a way, because I love disruption. But I think likely they're not going to be able to compete on something like this against a good player.
Yeah, that's a really sad but probable conclusion. Just burying Rabbit with legal fees.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that sucks. But hopefully that's not the case. We'll see what happens here. I'm excited to see the technology grow, though, for sure.
Yeah, me too. Because I mean, like, yeah, Rabbit can get all the patents, trademarks, and copyright protection in the world, but unless you can fight it, it doesn't really matter, which is
I
unfortunate.
would love. Can I say something that might sound a little crazy to a lot of? It would definitely sound crazy to my mom and dad, but I would love it if the functionality of Rabbit and where this is going becomes a wearable or even something like embedded, rather than like a device, something that like, I could, yeah, like I would love to see it. I know it's kind of already getting into glasses, and I know a lot of people are, a lot of these functions on Rabbit are kind of going into like the meta glass and stuff like that, but I think that's more realistic on a use case for me than it being in my pocket. So,
I mean,
and in theory, a perfect thing. Like, I mean, this is one step to having like Halo Cortana, right?
yeah,
that would be awesome.
So, which would be awesome. I think that would scare the majority of people, but it doesn't scare me. I think that would be awesome.
I agree.
So.
I'm actually that's something that like in the future I'm super hyped for, and we're starting to get those pieces together, right? We got AI that's responsive and provides, hopefully, I mean, for the most part, accurate information and can do what you're doing or asking it to do on like real time basis. And then we're also getting like what we were talking about earlier, augmented reality overlaying true reality. And when you start combining those two and feeding like true reality into this AI in real time, you're starting to get this intelligence that can be reactive, predictive, and can help you in your daily life, which that's Cortana and Jarvis, right? That's
like, well, we need to get to AGI, which I think we'll get to sooner rather than later, right? So, and I think the world might eventually come around to something like that, hopefully. So
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. I'm excited for it.
Do you guys have anything else for tech that you were excited for?
I don't have anything else, but I do have a question to ask. But we can talk about something else before. I got to look it up really quick. I forgot what the name of the test is.
let me go back and see if there's anything that I saw that I was really excited about that I'm forgetting right now. I think just the wearables. I think the glasses. I know I had heard that that was a lot of people were wearing, glasses, but I think I did hear one YouTuber mention a phrase that I thought was somewhat funny. It's like a lot of what we called algorithms we're calling AI now, which I think is kind of uh funny but true.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like, and it's a hot word. Of course, you're gonna throw it onto everything you're gonna create, right?
Mhm.
It's gonna help get traction. But as we see the tech slim down and become more, I am starting to get very excited about um glasses implement wearable glasses implemented with AI. Like I said, I mentioned the Meta glasses earlier. I'm excited about that kind of product coming out, especially because I'm a glasses wearer, obviously. And so that's something I'm very excited about, and I hope that continues to develop. And I know it was from what I've heard, it was a lot was seen at CES around that front. So
Cam, I'll join you on the glasses front.
there we go. Because I mean, because it's already something a lot of people do wear, right? Glasses. Um, it's very, I think it like, so it makes sense, and it makes sense that you would implement some augmented reality into it. And so it just makes all the sense in the world to me. And I think I'm just excited to see where some of the brightest minds could hopefully take it.
I know.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get a pair of the Meta Ray Bans.
I really do too. I even put them on my Christmas list, but I'll have to wait hopefully till next Christmas maybe. I'll get
Santa didn't
Oh,
bring
not
it.
good enough for Santa this year, huh, Cam?
no one got Santa didn't get them for me this year. He
Yeah,
didn't.
because you
So
weren't good enough. He's like, you
I got a
naughty
snowboarding
boy.
jacket
You did a
from
naughty boy.
shout out to Volcom. I got a Volcom snowboarding jacket. So
Nice.
so I can hit the slopes with Ben sometime soon here,
Let's
hopefully.
go.
Sweet.
Yeah. Speaking of wearables, I think maybe the rings. I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think of like the smart rings?
I
Um,
love them.
do you have one? I know there's
I
like, well, there's like one that tracks your sleep really well.
Yeah. So I have the Aura Ring.
Oh, that's
Um,
okay. Yeah.
um, I I liked it up until I had to start paying for the subscription. Um, but and yeah, and once I started having to pay for the subscription, I'm just like, it doesn't bring enough value for me to continue paying for this subscription.
Is there no free version? It's only
There
subscription based.
was with the older versions of the ring, but when they came out with the new one, which I got, they implemented a subscription-based model.
Dang, that's tough.
So I stopped wearing it.
Got it.
Just
Cam, you
I
said you love them though?
I love them. I don't have one for, I guess I can get onto those reasons. The first is because I mentioned earlier, I'm a very fidgety person and I'm always taking off my ring and playing with it. Yep, exactly. And I think like I would most like my wife always says I most likely would lose it. So that's one reason. Two is I love the functionality and the lifestyle I have. I think it's a little bit more I get a little more value out of the rubber the
Oh
ring I
yeah.
wear now
Yeah,
is
like the
the
silicone ones.
the silicone rings, right?
Yep.
And so I think it would be hard for me after wearing a silicone ring for so long. I think it'd be hard to go back to a non-silicone ring. Although I don't know, maybe I could be misspeaking there. Maybe they do make smart rings and a more softer version, but I don't not that I've seen on the top ones. But so those are the reasons why. And then obviously just is that really something I want to put my money into right now? Probably not. But I do love them. I would buy one. I think as a tech to use to develop and I think health tech is obviously a very like consumer health tech is a very big point of emphasis, and I love when you can just implement into things you're already on and not a disruption in life. I'm excited about where they're going.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought they're interesting, but I've never been sold on them, mainly for like the reasons that you provided, Cams. Like number one, I'm like too cheap. Like this ring, I've bought like 5 of these and they're $25 on Amazon, but they look really cool. They're gold with like a little wood fake, I think it's fake wood, but because I lose them or like I misplace them and I don't find them for a while or whatever, I always take them off. But also like maybe I'm not the most health conscious person when it comes to that stuff. Like I have my Apple Watch that provides me enough information to what I need, you know? And so for those reasons, like I haven't been sold on the rings, but who knows? Maybe in the future, if I want to know and the technology gets better, I can know a little bit more about like my body's health and blood pressure. I don't know, things like that that I just don't track right now. So um, I have another question for you guys, and this is all I have at the very end. Well, I'll set a foundational question first. Do you guys know what the Turing test is for robots?
No, I don't.
I think I've heard of it. I don't know.
Okay, so I read about this like question of like hypothetically, what are like some thoughts that scare you? And so I'll tell you about the Turing test. It's a method, like a deceptive method to determine whether a machine can demonstrate human intelligence. So it's like essentially to prove whether or not that machine or that smart machine has any type of like human intelligence at like a human level, right? And so it's trying to it's a test that's deceptive for the machine to try to determine if the machine can like show that it's intelligent enough to be like at a human level. Okay. Here's the scary thought. There may be machines that are smart enough that they know they're being tested on this test and fail on purpose. So that we as humans are like, oh, the machine failed. It's not intelligent like a human. But in reality, that machine is like,
It's
I
deceiving
deceived
us.
you, buddy. I actually know everything, even this test. And I'm freaking smart, smarter than you. And I'm going to take over the world. And my name's Skynet. Anyway, that's my thought. Kind of scary. But anyway, the more that we get into AI, the more that we get into machine learning, right? You kind of highlighted, Cam, there's like a difference there. But the more that like technology gets smarter, I think the more relevant this test becomes, right? Um, so I wonder if, like how soon do you think we'll find or see a machine that's intelligent enough to be like at a human level? What are your
Well,
thoughts there?
okay, so this is a thought that I just had as you were talking about it.
Yeah.
This test, like the explanation of it, is on the internet, to which these learned language models already have. So technically, they all know about this, and is and now this test is irrelevant.
Yeah. And if the test, like if the machine can listen in to like conversations of like, all right, let's hook it up. Let's do the Turing test. Boom. Machine's already processing. Google search, what's the Turing test? Oh, it's a deceptive test to see if I'm a human intelligence. All right, I gotta fail this in order to pass it if I want to proceed with like its goals or whatever it might be. Purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a really good point, Ethan. Cam, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Ethan. I think it's not long for them to be able to pass this test, and I'm excited. I'm very on the other side of the fence of being scared about AI. I'm very excited about AI, and all machine learning and AGI. So I'm excited for it. I think it's a great equalizer. I don't know if I've said this to you, but I've said this to a lot of other people. I think I remember when the internet was infant, and I remember a world before smartphones. And I think there's going to be a day where we're going to tell our kids, "I remember a world before AI." I think it's the next thing on those levels. So I'm excited about where it's going to go, and I'm excited about the capabilities of it to be able to beat things like that. I'm not someone who's scared of that. So
Cool.
I'm
Good
okay
take.
with it until like my cars start driving away on their own, because my cars are going to be the first things to go.
No, wait, there's no passenger in there.
You're like, Ethan's like, I paid a lot for that. Get out,
Yeah.
get back here. I paid a
Yeah.
lot for you. It's like when a dog runs away. Some of those I paid a lot for. Get back here.
The $3,000 purebred, you know,
Like
it's like,
Cavalier, King Charles Spaniels, come back here.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. That Cam, you mentioned like talking about like the day and age of like the iPhone and internet and how that's like so transformative. And it reminded me today, I was literally telling Luca about the radio. And I was explaining to him what the radio was. And I went online and like showed him like different radio stations that you can live stream from iHeartRadio.com. And I like was playing like a radio. It was like in the middle of like a DJ talking. And then they played a song and Luca's like, go to the next song. I'm like, no, like you can't go to the next song. Like the person's in like a building broadcasting from this tower and we're listening into that. And he's like, I don't like this. I don't like this.
That sounds about right on Lucas. My favorites when we used to play, we used to have your gaming system in the basement, and we used to play in the basement. You would hear them rocking out to like Lady Gaga down there and stuff.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I know. I'd be playing video games on my console, and my kids are just listening to Alexa, like just cranking it out. That was so funny. That was so funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's all I got.
all right. That's all I've got
Me
too.
too.
All right. Well,
Thanks for having me again, guys.
yeah, thanks for
Well,
joining
thanks
our
for
show.
joining.
I want to thank our viewers for sticking with us and for supporting our channel. So make sure you give us a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't, that other button seems to work all right as well. Make sure you ring-a-ling that ding-a-ling button so you never miss any content as it's posted on the channel. So until next time, stay classy, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Fight on.